Hi guys! Welcome to this educational vlog. My name is Eric John Paul Borja and together with me is Mr. Ryan Lorica and Mr. Gian Singkala. So for today's video, we are going to discuss about this sport named racquetball. I know some of you is not familiar with this sport or is not familiar with how it goes, but we will give you some background about the story and the rules and how to play this game. So let's get to it. Before anything else, let's talk about the history of this sport named racquetball. Unlike any other popular sports in our generation today, racquetball does not have a long and involved history because it was developed early in this 20th century by combining 4 different racquetball games, which are tennis, handball, squash, and this Spanish sport named Jai Alay. The roots or the starting point of this racquetball or this sport may have been started during the 1800s when the prisoners or the inmates were given balls which they would hit against the wall, and by that time it was still called the rackets, not the racquetball. And in America, it appears during the 1920s. It was Mr. Joseph G. Sobek, which is a professional handball, squash, and tennis player who was mostly given credited for the invention of this game. In 1920, Mr. Sobek is working in a rubber factory which is designing the rubber balls which are being used in the sports today. He, along with a partner, also decided to combine the rules of handball and squash to set the rules of racquetball, which is known at the time as the paddle rackets. By 1969, the game had become so famous worldwide that a man named Robert Kendler founded the International Racquetball Association, which eventually changed the name of the sport to racquetball. During the same year, the first official racquetball championship was held at St. Louis, Missouri. It was also during this time that sporting goods stores started manufacturing official racquetball gears for the sports. By 1980s, those were the years of the downfall of this sport. The popularity of this sport started to fall. Many clubs torn down their racquetball courts. However, there were still many racquetball players who devoted themselves to the game and kept the spirit of the game alive. Even with the decline of its popularity, today, there are still well over at least 20 million people worldwide that compete in this sport. Since 1981, there is a world championship that is held annually about this sport. And in 1995, the International Olympic Committee approved this sport as a Pan-American game sport. Now, let's discuss about the basic racquetball serve rules.
The serving player has the area known as the serving zone to utilize for their serve. Both feet must be on or in front of the short line. If any part of the foot extends beyond the short line and into the receiving player's area, that is a foot fault. During the serve, both feet must stay on or behind the service line for it to be a valid serve. If the serving player extends behind the service line, it is a foot fault. This is an overview of the racquetball court. This one is the service box. In front is the short line, behind it is the service line, and this one is the receiving line. The player returning the serve must stay behind the receiving line with their entire body during the serve until, first, the ball hits the floor on a valid serve, and the ball crosses the receiving line. These are some of the basic equipments that are needed in playing racquetball. First is the racket itself, and then the ball. It is also a must to wear an eyewear during the game because there is a high risk of hitting your eyes.
In determining who serves first, the players come up with an agreed way on how to see or how to identify who serves first. It's either flipping a coin outside the court, log to see who serves first, and then if you have a referee, they can write down 1 or 2 or A and B and designate or any other fair methods to designate who starts the game as the server. Now let's talk about the serving faults and the side out serves.
Serving faults consist of the following. First is the long serve. This occurs when the ball travels off of the front wall and hits the back wall without bouncing between the short line and back the wall. Second is the short service or short serve. This occurs when the ball travels off of the front wall and bounces before traveling beyond the short line. Third is the three-wall serve, which occurs when the ball travels off the front wall and hits both side walls before bouncing in play. Fourth is the ceiling serve. This happens when a ball hits the front wall and then proceeds to hit the ceiling. And last, we have the screen serve. This happens when a player hits a valid serve but passes by the server so closely that the returning player does not have a clear view of the ball. The receiver must be in a returnable position at this time. Some serves result in a side out, where you immediately lose the serve when one of these things happen. First, two serving faults happen consecutively back to back. Second, non-front wall serve, which any serve where the ball does not hit the front wall first. This means the ball strikes a side wall, the ceiling, or the floor first. Next is touched serve. Any ball that hits the front wall then proceeds to hit the player serving the ball or any part of their equipment. Next is illegal hit or illegal serve. Anytime the ball is hit with the handle of the racket, a body part, hits the ball more than once, or is carried by the racket. Next is the fake or bulk serve. This occurs when a player begins the motion of the serve and stops the serve or fakes the serve in an attempt to deceive the other player.
That's it, guys. That's the end of our report. I hope you have learned something about the sport racquetball. And watch out for my next videos.